Welcome to our midterm review. In this first question, which of the following expression results in the value of 1? We're going to evaluate each of the following expressions just to detect whether or not these expressions are equal to 1. And we have, in each of these expressions, we have a modulo, or a remainder. So what we're going to do is we're going to go with A, and we're going to say 37 modulo 6, and seeing what that equals to. And what we do is we go with 6 divided by 37, and we figure out what the remainder is. So 6 will go into 37 6 times, and let's say 36 with a remainder of 1. So in this case, 37 modulo 6 will equal 1. In this case, A is going to be your answer. In this second question, we are going to convert the code below using the while loop. And right now we have for k in range of 1, comma I, print string k plus underscore. And so when we do a while statements, since the first part of our range is going to start with a 1, we have to start off, with by initializing the variable k and making sure k 1 is assigned to k. Next step is we are going to put in the while statement. So while k is less than I, because I is the ending, print string k, I know this is not going to fit, plus underscore, and then we want to put another iteration. So we'll say k equals k plus 1. And this while loop, forgot the colon, will equate to the for command. So in terms of what would the execution result in the following loop, let me erase all this stuff here. It will be so for k in range 1, we're going to start with the 1. We're going to print string 1 plus underscore, and then it's going to loop again. String with 2 underscore, string with 3 underscore, string with 4 underscore. Now this is assuming that the range is going to be from 1 to 5. And what this says is we're going to choose that the loop go from 1 to 5. It's going to be less than 5, but not equal to 5. So we're going to end off with 4 underscore. In this problem, we're going to evaluate what each of the lines mean. The first line, x equals random integer 1 through 6. The program is going to select any number between the numbers 1 through 6. And it's going to assign that number to the variable x. Right here, if x equals 1, then print u1. If that is false, then go to the next else if statements. If x equals 2, print you tie. If 1 and 2 are false, then print you lose. At the end, what is the variable? A person wins, tie, or loses. Since we have a number between 1 through 6, we have a chance of you winning 1 out of 6 chances, you being tied 1 out of 6 chances, and losing, you have a bigger chance of losing 4 out of 6. In problem number 5, we are going to put the sequence of execution, numbering at each statement that gets executed when the user enters 75 from the codes below. So let me enlarge this for a little bit so that we can see the codes. All right, and so let me select a pen or a pencil right here. Great. So right here is the key is when the user enters 75 right here. So what it does is the codes will go through that very first statement. If score is greater than 90, that's the first code it will go to. So that's 1. If I can mark that one in. It will say that that's false. It will say that that's false because the score 75 is not greater than 90. So it will skip print A, skip that, and it will check the second condition, elif score is greater than 80. And even with that one, 75 is not greater than 80. So it will skip print B, and then it will go to elif score is greater than or equal to 70. We'll mark that as 3. 75 is greater than 70. And so the fourth code, because that's true, will go to print C. And so that's the number of sequence, that's the number sequence of education for the following code. In actuality, it should have been score eval input as number 1. That would be number 2. That would be 3, 4, and 5. Right there where it says print C. Let me just erase that and write that out one more time. So that's 1. That's 2. elif score is greater than 80 is 3. elif score greater than 70 is 4. Print C is 5, and code ends right there. Number 6 is very similar to number 5, but the conditions are a little different. So we're going to check that one out, and we're going to see what happens if the user enters 75 from the codes below. So it starts off here as 1. As 1. If it's 75, if score is greater than or equals to 60, print D, but 75 is greater than and equal to 60. So that's number 2. And that part is number 3 right there. And it will end the codes right there. It will skip the other elifs because the first one is true. Now we also went over in class that if everything else was if score equals 70, if score is greater than or equal to 80, and if score was greater than or equal to 90, then it would print D, C, B, and A, and F. I'm sorry, D, C, B, and A, because each of these would be considered true if every single one of these statements start off with if. But because they're not, the very first statement that's true, it will only print, and everything else the program will ignore. Now this problem was a little tedious, as we had to trace the problem or trace the program, and with each line we have to indicate what the variable is and what is the output on the console. So I'm going to enlarge this a bit more so that we can see the codes right there, and we can see the line numbers as well. And let me flip this around a little bit. There you go. And hopefully that helps a little bit. Right there, and let me move this one down. Alright, so on the sheet, on the study guide, they have a sheet that looks like they have a chart that looks like this. Okay, they have the line number, they have the variable, and when they have the outputs. Let's see, out for now. So let's look at these steps one by let's look at these factors one by one right here. So right here we're going to start off with line number 5. The variable I has a value of 1. There's no output yet. So we're going to go down to number 7, line number 7. And it says while I is less than 20. In that case, the variable I is still 1. Nothing has changed. And since I is less than 20, that is considered true. So we'll go down to number 8. And if I is less than 3, variable is still 1. Then we'll go down to number 9. Because I is less than 3, and that's true, we get to print A. But the variable is still 1. We will skip 10 and 11 because I is greater than 3. That's true still. So we'll skip 10 and 11, and we'll go down to 12. And 12 looks like some sort of increment where I equals I times 3. So at number 12, I, or 1 times 3, the current value of I will be now 3. And we'll go to the last if I is greater than 9, number 13. I is greater than 9, 3 is not greater than 9. That's false. So the value is still 3, and we'll print C. And after that, we're here at the end of the loop because I is still less than 20. We will go back to the beginning of the loop right here. Okay, so that's the first loop. A little tedious, but that's what you want to do. That's what tracing the program looks like. So I'm going to erase everything else, knowing that number 13, that the variable is still is still 3, and the output is C. So I'm going to erase that. back to the top again, right here. While I is less than 20, 7, the variable is still 3, because 3 is less than 20. That is false. Oh, sorry, that is true. So we'll go down to the next line, number 8. If I is less than 3, that's not true anymore. So I is equal to 3, or 3 is equal to 3. So we will skip number 9 and go to number 10. Else, variable is still 3, variable I is still 3, and number 11, variable I is still 3, and we will print B in the console. Okay, we're right there. So now let's go to number 12. Let's do an increment. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 is now the value, is now assigned to the variable I. Okay, let's go to the next line, number 13. I is equal to 9. So we'll go to number 15. See, 13 is still 9. We'll go to number 15, and then we'll go to number 16. That's still 9, that's still 9, and 16 is print C. Okay, so that's the second iteration right there, knowing that our variable I is still 9. Now, once we're done with that, we're not done with the program yet because the program has not stopped. We're still here. Okay, we'll go back up here again, and we'll go through another loop. Let me erase the rest of this. All right, so this next part, knowing that the variable I is still is 9, let's check. For number 7, is 9 less than 20? Yes, it is. That's true. So let's go to the if statement. Is 9 is I less than 3, or is 9 less than 3? That's false. So we'll go to number 10. Else, the variable is to 9 to 11. The variable is to 9. Print up B. Go to number 12. Let's do an increment. So 9 times 3 is assigned to I, so that's not 27. Let's go to number 13. I is now greater than 9. That's true. So then that means we'll go to now number 14. We'll break the program. We'll break the loop. And then after that, we'll skip to 20. Variable I is 27. And the value of the output is now D, because we went from here to there. So if there's a break in the loop, we break out of it and we go outside of the loop, which is print D. So in this program, we will have about 10 iterations of this loop, because we have a loop for I in range of 10. So I'm going to split this up into a couple columns, where we have one column which represents the iterations, or I, and right here we will figure out the value of Y, and I'll change as we go along, as we go through the iterations. So right now, Y will have a current value of 0, In our first iteration at 0, y plus equals I, which is the same as y is assigned to, or actually y plus I is assigned to y. So how this goes is 0 plus I, which is 0, equals 0. And it loops again. Y equals y, the current value y, plus 1, which equals 1. Second iteration, y is equal to 1 plus I, which is not 2, equals 3. So let me make this bigger. Oops, let me make this a little bigger. Oops. A little bit of space to go through it. 3 will be y equals 3 plus 3, which equals 6. 4, y equals 6 plus 4, we equal 10. 5, y equals 10 plus 5, we equals 15, and so forth. So you continue on with the patterns until you reach the 10th iteration. Step a little bit, let me shrink this a little. Now I'll just continue with the rest of the problem so that you see what's going on. So y equals 21 plus 7, 28. 28 plus 8, 36. And the 10th iteration is 36 plus 9, 45. So right now y will print out y equals 45. So we have an interesting loop right here where if we look at this equation here on the top, or this sequence of numbers here, it seems to be that on the top we have I, and on the bottom we have I plus 1. So that seems to be a pattern and adds on every single time. So in terms of the loop, we have results equals 0 for I in range of 1 to, comma, 100. What do we have? We have the results equals results plus I over I plus 1. What this results plus I equals 1 will do is it will add the previous value to the existing value. So for instance, let me erase this part. If we're trying to figure out what the 100th iteration is, the sum of all the iterations at the 100th iteration, what that will do is it will add this value to all the other values before it, which is the existing value, which is the results. So we're not done yet. We have to iterate and say I equals I plus 1 right there, so that we can go to the next increment right there. So that's the loop for this problem. So for the remainder of the problems from 5.1 to 6.29 in the midterm review, a strategy that I have been doing was typing the program up. So before typing the program up in PyCharm, I tried to solve it myself, compare it to the program in PyCharm, and see if whatever results I have match the one in PyCharm. And if it doesn't match in PyCharm, then I try and figure out why it doesn't, and try and go through the loops and iterations or whatever structures they're using in that problem. So that's what I would recommend for 5.1 through 6.27. Right before problem 5.1, right here, there's a website that's tiger.armstrong.edu. .edu. It's a website right before that's written right before problem 5.1, and according to the professor, there are more practice problems that you can look at to give you additional practice as it relates to our midterm. So I hope this review helps out. Pretty much the class we went through the midterm review, and that's about it. It was just a full day worth of that. But what I did was I did my best to abbreviate the review in less than 30 minutes because there were a lot of review strategies that were necessary. So if you have any questions, feel free to contact me at ringoj.edu, ringoj@sfusu.edu, or if you have time tomorrow, we can Google Hangout and figure this whole thing out together and see where you're at, so that we're both at least ready for Thursday. The assignment for Thursday is for you to go through the review so that you come into the test on Thursday already prepared. So that's going to be your assignment. Okay, so I'll see you on Thursday.